I gotta know. Hey, what's up, y'all? Trying to get it together. How y'all doing for this lunchtime chat and chew with your boy Rico? I'm gonna try to share this. Y'all do me a favor, share this live. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be epic, but a lot of times it just turns out becoming epic. Um, it's a lot going on. I just take it a couple of topics at a time. And then also, if you didn't get enough of this daytime chat that I do, I'm on Sunday evenings, 5 o'clock. Well, at least this Sunday evening, I'll be back with another live, okay? On my YouTube channel, Rico the Opinionist. If you have not logged on or you have not subscribed yet, go to my YouTube channel because I'll be having very few live chats on Facebook. I'll probably be doing more, sharing memes and writing blogs on my YouTube, on my Facebook page. But if you want to hear me or have a conversation with me, uh, my YouTube channel, Rico the Opinionist, uh, just log on and subscribe. And I hope to see you this Friday. I don't know what the topic is going to be, but sometimes, we're just having a conversation. And so with this, I'm going to try to share this with my other pages. And I hope you all share this. And I'll get to it in a second. But those of you who are chiming in, thank you so much. And in case you hadn't heard, I do have a short story that I wrote years ago. It's called The Greatest Pain Ever Felt. Conversation with an absent biological father who never wanted to be found. It's only $10, $, Rico the Opinionist, OPINIONIST. If you'd like to check it out, hit me with that on that Cash App or the PayPal, Rico the Opinionist. And when you send it, please, in the message part, put your email address because it's in PDF format. So if you like a copy of that, let you know what I went through and when I accidentally, it was an accident that I found out about who my actual biological father was, and I was 22 years old, still a student at Grambling State University. Let's see, and I guess this won't allow me to. It won't appear on here. Let's see if it will appear on here. But anyway, I'll just leave it as is, and we'll start from here. Well, the topic of today, lunch chat and chewing. By the way, you don't have to stop eating. You go ahead and continue. You'll chew and I'll chat. And if you wanna participate in the conversation later on when I'm done with all my topics, with both of my topics, there's a green and a red button that you can push if you want to come in and chime in and give me your thoughts or pose questions to me or challenge me on some things that I've said. I don't mind. That's why we have these interactive mediums here. And the first topic of the day is the political snakes in Memphis are slithering since the murder of Tyree Nichols. So what do you mean by that? For those of you, you should know by now that I'm born and reared. My roots are in Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out to Hollywood and Springdale. What's that? Hyde Park, Douglas, you hear me? Cypress, Hollywood School, Springdale Elementary, And then you go up James Road to Frazier, hit up there, 381, what's that, 38127, shout out to 38127, the Bay Area. Then it's still considered North Memphis, but they're calling it more Uptown, Bearwater, New Chicago, what's good. But straight up, man, Hollywood, Chelsea, Springdale, Shannon Street, Goodwill Village, Standridge, all of that. Golden, Hubbard, Vandalia, Devoy, all of that. You hear me? That is North Memphis. Hollywood, what is it? Kentucky Fried Chicken? Kentucky Fried Chicken by up there in Jackson where the AutoZone, Kentucky Fried Chicken at, yeah. And I think there's a Jack Perlo to the left. So yeah, that's the North. You hear me? But however, I moved out of Memphis 15 years ago, and I've been living here in Dallas-Fort Worth. But of course, y'all know I go home here and there, and stay connected to what's going on in Memphis, because that is where born and reared and Memphis all the way. At one point, of being referred to as the mayor of North Memphis. And in my head, I'm still the mayor because the politicians are still ignoring that area, except for when they want to make deals with the non-black developers for that area. And that's my District 7 city council person, school board, and state representative. I think it was 98 state representative and District 7 county commission. And of course, congressmen, they all tend to ignore North Memphis. So I am North Memphis. I am a North Memphis vet. So what's up, Ernest? And Ivan, what's good, brother? And so, unfortunately, another black eye has been shed on my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, and and with the recent beating and murder of young brothers described as a skater, loved everyone, real cool dude, was 6'2", 145, 150. Who was savagely beaten and murdered by 5 members of the Memphis Police Department, of the unit. I think they were members of the unit called the Scorpion Unit. And we've all watched the news and we've heard different perspectives, and so I don't need to go over the case because you can go to YouTube, you can look at your Facebook status daily, and you'll see people coming up with stuff. With reporting and sharing their thoughts and opinions about what's going on, and what happened in that particular situation, that horrific situation. It's been described as black on black crime. It's and whatever, it's self-hatred, all of that stuff, right? But what I do is I pay attention to other stuff that's going on. I see the subject, but I also look around to see what's going on. And just like clockwork, all of the vultures, all of the so-called leaders come out. The national people, you had Al Sharpton here, Ben Crump, and I'm not knocking Ben Crump. Ben Crump is the one. Now, for those of you who don't understand his role, hey Jamie, Ben Crump is a civil attorney. What Ben Crump does is he makes sure that the families who've been wronged systematically by, be it the police department or some kind of politician, whatever, he makes sure civilly that the families of the victims in a family become to get properly compensated economically. He's a civil attorney. He sues for the money. So he's usually damn near the first one on the scene. Now, the other people, as far as other attorneys and stuff, will appear as a trial date has been set. Did y'all understand? Ben Crump. And you wonder, because people always say, how come it's always just Ben Crump? But then Lee Merritt is another one who he goes around the country. I guess he's called to represent people and be an advocate for families who've been attacked by, seemingly, I guess, the police mainly. And just what these two men have in common, they're members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And 3 of the murderers and killers of this black man were, of those 5 black men, 3, and some people are saying 4, were members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, which is a historic black fraternity back in the day. And they're on all the campuses, right? Their thing is the dog collar and ruff, and they throw up the hook and all that kind of stuff. And they do the little dances. Let me not be small with this. They step in Greek shows just like the Divine members of the Divine Nine, and they're fraternity of black men. With I believe their creed is to look after other black men, protect them in the community and all of that. But something like that, right? Well, so you have sorry to hear that, Ernie. Maybe you catch the playback. And so the snakes have come out, and when I mean the snakes, and I'm speaking locally now in Memphis, Tennessee. Y'all know Memphis is a city that's 65% black, but you will swear the way it moves, the way it treats its black citizens, the way it's black elected officials, which are in the majority, you would think that Memphis today is hold on one second, y'all. Jamie, let me see. Jamie Foster says, I'm not sure what the term is, but Omega Psi Phi should discard their membership. I'm going to get to that. When I start talking about the Qs and all of that, I will get to that. Matter of fact, they put out a letter on January 31st that revoked their membership. I just want to let Jamie know that. They have done it. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about these politicians, these black politicians, and the white ones too, but mainly the people who we expect to have the black agenda in their minds when they're running for office. Now, Memphis is 65% black. And trust me, I know, because I lived there up until 15 years ago, and I still go back. Numbers haven't changed. But you would think that Memphis is apartheid South Africa. Now, go do the research on apartheid South Africa or the segregated Jim Crow South. I don't have a problem with segregation, and if we're going to go there, that wasn't our issue. The integration is what killed black people. Shout out to Dr. King and all those folks. But because the black politicians are merely figureheads. We have a majority black city council, a majority black school board with a black superintendent who was having sex with all the women who happened to be a member of Kappa Alpha Psi and getting all his Kappa brothers hired on, and while he's trading sex for positions, allegedly, and a Memphis superintendent. That's why he's gone. Among many reasons. When he had a wife, and it was messy. Shout out to Thaddeus Matthews for getting the word out. Man, if it weren't for Thaddeus Matthews, a lot of the stories would not have been broken, or wouldn't be broken in my hometown. Because mainstream media, the black folks who work in media, corporate media in Memphis, they don't touch stories like that. But Thaddeus Matthews, he's on it. And so shout out to that brother. You would think that it's apartheid South Africa, the way Memphis is being ran. And so, you got all these black figureheads, but still you have the white minority that's even controlling the black majority of politicians and business people there. Do y'all understand what I just said? Memphis is supposed to have been Atlanta 5.0 long time ago. But you have black politicians, and a lot of them are, cover your ears, a lot of them are black Greek affiliated or homosexual. Those are the two groups that have been in charge of Memphis. Meaning the city council, they're the judges, they're the prosecutors, a lot of them are. A lot of them make up the police department. They are. And it's not a strike. It is facts that I'm sharing with y'all about who's running these black cities. When you go to those black cities, look at who the leaderships are and check out their affiliations. They're usually black Greeks or black homosexuals. The people who ran the civil rights movement, who suggested we socially integrate instead of doing what Malcolm X suggested, we get our own. How we talk about Rosewood, how they had their own? Well, those were black gays and black Greeks who wanted to socially integrate with the white man instead of fighting him for independence and freedom. They wanted to get positions and jobs under white racism and white supremacy the same way they do today. The black Greeks and the black gays are the ones who use the language black and brown. Women, people of color, black and brown, and people of color, minority and disenfranchised minority groups. These are the people who use this language. I know, Rico, there you go on them, but I have eyeballs and I have a brain. I see and I hear and I can comprehend. Just do your history. Just do your history. And I have nothing against the wonderful people who I know who are affiliated with these organizations, but I'm not going to not tell the truth. But if you can make me out to be a liar, I'll appreciate it. Calling me names and wishing bad stuff for me is not going to change the facts. And so what do? So we have now, not to say that they don't do good things. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you how we got to be in the position that we are today. It was the black Greeks and black gays who fought against freedom and independence the way every ethnic group in this country enjoys. Asians, any immigrant, white folks, Hispanics, they all enjoy a sense of freedom and independence. They have their own money. They work together economically. They cooperate with each other economically. Even if they disagree, they still come together. But I'll take you back in history. Marcus Garvey had the Black to Africa movement, but there was a biracial Greek by the name of W.B. Du Bois who hated on him. Said and called Marcus Garvey a gorilla. He's W.B. Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois, who was white and black mixed. Remember, one of the founders of NAACP, which is a multiracial corporation. He, and also one of the editors of Crisis Magazine back in the 20s and 30s. He said that we's doing good here. We's law abiding. He had a PhD. He did that. He hated on him. And when Dr. King, when Malcolm X was going, you had all of the alphas, kappas, Qs, whatever, who were around Dr. King, and Dr. King himself was an alpha. They spoke against or went against what Malcolm X was talking about. When Mr. Farrakhan was out trying, is out telling us the truth and all that, Omega Psi Phi member Jesse Jackson was his antithesis or his protagonist. Look in history. Every time a black man stood up to speak for freedom, independence, a black Greek came out on behalf of the white oppressor, white supremacy. And they do it right now. They're the ones who are mainly on your television, who work for the New York Times. They work for all these MSNBCs. It was a black Greek that hugged the murderer of Botham Jean here in Dallas, a judge, member of Delta Sigma Theta. I can't make this. Just look at it. And y'all know, if y'all have heard me, I've always said that black Greeks don't think they're black people. They think they're a separate group. Like black gays don't think they're black people. They don't. They're a separate group. And unfortunately, a lot of black women don't think they are. Jamie said, Roland Martin, ugly ass. Jamie. Roland Martin has come out and said, he's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, and he's a member of the Boule. Shout out to Steve Coakley. And I didn't come on here to quote bash. Let me know when I start lying. And I'm letting y'all know about Black Memphis leadership. All of them had their faces on CNN, Democracy Now!, all of the stations that came to Memphis during the press conference and during the funeral that just happened, I think on yesterday. All of them, along with Al Sharpton, they all came out to, I guess, we need to stop this. This shouldn't have happened. We even had a member of Omega Psi Phi get on national TV and shed tears. He's also a longtime member of the Memphis City Council. And he made a statement, and I thought, that was kind of weird for him to say. I've been on the council all this time, and this is my last year. How could this happen in my community? Cut it out. You've been on that city council about 8 goddamn years. Never shared a tear for any black man that ever was murdered in Memphis. But since the cameras are here, come on somebody. Hallelujah. Now everybody want to get their moment in the sun. And I'm not knocking anybody's contribution, but see, y'all didn't pay attention. They rarely, the national media is full of shit too. Because there were actual non-Greek Memphis activists there who are there. But they never put the camera, CNN and the national camera, on those folks. They always get to the so-called, those the Al Sharptons and the city council people. Why? I want to know, why does the media always go to these city council people when they are so out of touch with what goes on in the community? Why? Why did they go to, the mayor wasn't even at the funeral. I think they didn't even invite the chief of police to the funeral. But everybody, when it's camera time, everybody shows up. And that's what I have a problem with always, not just at this one instance, but always. They never show the real people who actually get the stuff started and who don't have as much money, don't have the access to the cameras, but they're in the boot. They have boots on the ground. They're actual Memphis activists that they love to try to talk crap about on black radio. You know, and in the local media there in Memphis, they love to talk crap about them. But those black activists with the dreads and have on the the black fist t-shirts and all this, and y'all call them pro-blacks now, but they're the ones who are the first ones, because the political Negroes and the upper elite bourgeois and the Greek affiliated blacks, they don't want that smoke. They only want to make statements in front of the camera when they're always talking about having a seat at the table. Well, they've been at the table for 100 years and nothing has improved for the black masses, even though they use the black masses. That's right, Jamie, Boulay versus the grassroots. Even though the black masses put them in positions out of their own ignorance. And so we're gonna have to look at this. Let's look at this, not only this Tyre Nichols situation as a way of changing the way we behave towards one another as black folks. Because I find it very interesting that I've been reading people's posts, and Al Sharpton did his preacher thing. Come on, somebody. Hallelujah. But he said the same thing. Y'all listen to me. He said the same thing that Minister Farrakhan, the black grassroots, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Malcolm X, he said the very same things that Minister Farrakhan has said in Memphis about Memphis for years. But somehow, they only heard when Al Sharpton said it. It goes back to, it's Kwame Brown coined the phrase, it's about who you like. See, I'm learning that black people don't really want freedom and independence, like the Haitian and revolutionary kind of independence, like the Nat Turner strive for independence. They don't want that. They want to get along peacefully with white folks and equally. We know damn well this white supremacist culture, America has no interest in uplifting the Negro, especially the Negro male, up to equal economic and educational and political status. So how come we didn't listen to Malcolm when he said, get your own? This is evil and as mean, as underhanded as this government can be, or as white people in general can be, that at least they will respect you. The reason this shit keep going on, and a lot of stuff keep happening to us, because we're so busy trying to get them to accept us instead of respect us. Come on, somebody. And that's why the bullshit keeps happening to black people. That's why it keeps happening. That's why it keeps happening, y'all. See, one thing about people at war, and y'all see how they respect Hispanics, respect Asians, because they all had a war with them. They fought with them. Knife, gun, cannon, tomahawk, bow and arrow. The Native Americans, ain't about 12 originals left. But they respect the group enough, so when something comes up politically, they make sure they're put to the top of the line, in front of the line. No, we don't want to mess with these Hispanics, because that Spanish-American war got on our ass. No, we're going to get these Native Americans what they need, because they was really tough with the bow and arrows and the tomahawks. They was kicking our ass. No, we're not going to fool with these Koreans and these Japanese and all this, because the war we had with them, they was kicking our ass. But the Negro, I ain't going to do nothing but talk shit on social media and pray for us. Pray that God changes our hearts. And like a white man told a little black dude in a 1965 video, boy, your prayers going over your head. You go pray for yourself. And people, I said, goddamn, white folks been telling Negroes the truth for 100 years. Go over there and take care of yourself. But then we got the black Boulay, the black Greeks, and all those start telling blacks, no, we's Americans too. We deserve the same. Well, they didn't tell you couldn't have the same, but you were so busy trying to go into their restaurants. You're so busy trying to move next door to them. You want to stick your penis in their daughters. You want to open your legs for his son. That's why we don't get no goddamn respect. And so you have this same old perpetual behavior of these so-called black leaders getting on TV talking trash, blah, 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 just to secure their corporate bag. That's what it's all about. Everybody's going to make money except for the black masses in Memphis. Now you have these same quiet, sorry-ass city council men and women. And you have these same sorry-ass school board members. The school board in Memphis, the numbers just came out, I think, a few months ago. I think only 10% of those 200 and some thousand plus kids Only 10% at reading level. 10%. You would think that's a school for mentally slow. That's a system for mentally slow people. 10%. Something around that number. And most of the leaders there are black Greeks. They don't give a shit. And so, these same mother lovers, and don't forget my church going, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ blacks. They ain't no better. You know, they're not any better. There are a lot of them on the city council, school board, you know, these church going folks. They ain't no better either. So when are we going to be able to vet these people and get the real folks who want to be the leaders? If it were up to me, I want majority of my city council be members of the Nation of Islam. Half of them. Then I need about 3 more to be members of, the grassroots, with the African last names and with the ankh on his shoulder, on his chest. Some of those brothers and sisters who are always talking about the economics and political and education of black people that can't get that large microphone like the corporate niggas. So here we are today. The only person who should be mayor of Memphis is Judge Joe Brown. So Rico, he's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, but Judge Joe Brown he's not a part of them. Yeah, he's a part of the organization, but he's not a part of them. Judge Joe Brown should be the next mayor. But these Negroes they're gonna elect another. He's not gonna be a white guy because 10 people, a 10th person entered the race in a 65% black city. A 10th person entered the race today. Some white guy. So it's going to either, because, we all know what the math is. You got 9 Negroes running for mayor, black people. And there's a black woman that's running who was one of the head honchos and the superintendent of schools. This heifer needs to be there to help fix the schools, but she decides to get out and try to run for mayor. So y'all know all this stuff is about. They're being paid off to make sure that we don't ever get the right mayor. And here's something else that's really sick. An old fool, 82 years old, who had 20 years to push Memphis into the stratosphere. But all he did was give quotes. Get the hell out of my office. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Then he got some chick pregnant at 65 years old. And that's motherfucker, what's W.W. Harrington, Willie Harrington, first black mayor. 20 years. And Memphis didn't move an ounce. Now he's jumping his 82-year-old ass into the race. You can't make this up. So the snakes are slithering off of the emotions and the hurt of black people, off of the oppressive boot of the necks and the minds of black folks. And don't let me leave out those goddamn Negro preachers. Memphis has over 5,000 churches. I ain't never been to a place that got that many churches and all that goddamn sinning. They're all just money pits. And I need the mayor. We got a white mayor, a white district attorney, and a white congressman in a 65% black city. Did y'all hear what I just said? And I need these white businessmen, politicos, and others to stop going to the black preacher when you want to talk money, education, and politics. The Negro preacher is probably worse out of all of them. Because if you look at the history of who the Negro preacher is and how the so-called reverend came to be, well, the Negro preacher was created on the plantations. They were given their version of the Bible to the Negro preacher, and when they had the church in the back in the quarters where the slaves lived, sometimes an overseer would stand there in the church and make sure the preacher talked about obey your master. It'll get better by and by. Once you go and once you die and be with the Lord. You work hard here, the heavier the burden, the brighter the crown. Oh, glory, hallelujah. Oh. And that's what they taught. They made sure they never talked about stories of escape or fighting back. And so that still plantation preaching is going on, even they call them mega churches. And that's in Memphis. Black Memphis is full of church and full of fear of their own shadow. Now they'll hurt the next black person, but they tend to bow to their white neighbors. That is Memphis, Tennessee. Now it's not all, because like again, we got the black activists there. You have the black activists there who don't get the press that they need. They're being written off as crazy or extreme or too militant. But it's the black grassroots that keeps a lot of these issues alive. But they don't have the money or the resources to really bring it into fruition, because the masses of black people across Memphis, Dallas, Chicago, wherever, won't give them the money that they give to the so-called corporate Negroes. I'm telling it all today. Come on, somebody. So that's Memphis in a nutshell. It's like apartheid South Africa. Go and Google apartheid South Africa, and that's Memphis. So when these cops beat that black dude, it's just like the black soldiers and the black police beating fellow black Africans with sticks and kicking them and shooting them and stuff for the white-owned police department in South Africa. White ran. There's a lot of figurehead Negroes. They've always had figurehead blacks. We never ever got a chance to get the grassroots blacks. Just like in the Mike Brown situation. There were grassroots blacks that it was called the Mike Brown in Ferguson. Let's go back. In Ferguson, it was the Mike Brown uprising. But then George Soros and other white corporations sent in this homosexual organization called Black Lives Matter to undermine what King Darren Seals, rest in peace, brother, him and his friends, black men, young black men, were actually leading the charge for justice for Mike Brown. But they brought in these proper talking Negroes, these openly homosexuals called Black Lives Matter. And Memphis has a Black Lives Matter with homosexuals, effeminate ones. They always include them. But they're saying systematically bought off and paid for. They brought us this, what's his name? DeRay McKessick and Darren Seals. If you go look up old videos of Darren Seals, always talked about how DeRay McKessick, who was just on the news talking about what happened here at Tyrese in Memphis, he talks about how he had to slap the crap out of DeRay McKessick, who ran for Baltimore mayor, I think, at one point. Oh, they keep they got these homosexuals, civil rights leaders, on payroll, but so when the grassroots is doing their job, well, they come in to undermine it because they want to take it into a more social integration direction. Did y'all hear what I just said? So when they had the bridge, when the grassroots black folks came out the hoods of Memphis, I forgot what led to that, but they held down the bridge, the Memphis Arkansas bridge. There in Memphis, it was hundreds, thousands of folks on that bridge. That was led by the grassroots, the real folks in the hood who did that, and had the average Negro in America Memphis shaking in their boots. Let me go back to Darren Seals and the Black Lives Matter there, and he showed us many videos of how he was telling us how they were undermining the group. That's what they called the Mike Brown, whatever. But it was the Mike Brown uprising when the black grassroots had it there in Ferguson. Now in Memphis, they sent in those same homosexuals in Memphis to undermine the uprising in Memphis in 2015. I saw the video. What we can do is get in the room and get to the table and talk to these leaders about what's going on. And one of the hood brothers said, because he was saying, because this happens to minorities and black and brown. And the brother yelled, "This ain't about no everybody else. This is about black folks." I said, see? Wherever that brother is, I thank you for yelling that out. And then the gay dude gonna say, well, I've been in those rooms. You haven't. And so I know. I said, there it is right there. So Black Memphis, stay vigilant. Understand what's going on. Push the black grassroots to the front and send them your cash out. Send them your monies so they can be more active. People would love to be more active in the black community, but y'all give y'all money to the people who's working against you. Hell, every time you look around, they got to get arrested and all this shit, and they have to worry about bail. What's wrong with y'all? Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, the Black Panthers. They really had it going on. But the mass of us would rather give the money to all the Negroes that got to get the TV camera time. And this has to stop. We have people actually coming up. They don't have all the money. They don't have the best dressed clothes and suits. They don't speak the greatest King's English, but it's interesting because the Black Panthers spoke great. Chairman Fred Hampton, the 20-year-old brother that they murdered with his pregnant girlfriend, his English was awesome. So a lot of the grassroots brothers speak very well. But they just don't put the I in their voices. They don't have on the tight-ass suits the way a lot of these cats do. They don't have all that going on. And so, and Memphis is about, the mayoral race is coming, the city council race is coming, all those they're all bucking and trying to get other positions and hoping they get seen, and y'all can remember them. Yeah, I was there. I was speaking up on camera with Tyrese. That's what they're all doing. They're trying to get votes off the emotionalism of people right now. What y'all need to be doing is saluting the grassroots. Those are the people who kept it going and who brought it out there. And then people go, why are they stopping the bridge? The bridge is just like the Montgomery boycott. Stopping that bridge stops the commerce. And one thing about the white power structure, they don't like when their money messed with. And it's half of Memphis. It's interesting. When the grassroots is doing something that really benefits all of Memphis, you would think that of those 500,000 black people, there at least 150,000 of them would be joining them. But they don't. They need to see you on TV and see who you work for first. And see what you're affiliated with, be it Greek letter or what church you, as the old folks say, church you belongs to. And that has to stop Black America. That has to stop Black Memphis. Because the people that y'all keep putting up there, they're never in your interest. I was there for years fighting the community. I got on my damn nerves. They had all the questions for me, but no questions for the goddamn politicians. None. And that's happened in black neighborhoods across America. When there was a heavy concentration of blacks and they're considered low income, that happens everywhere, and the shit needs to stop. See, right now, shout out to my girl who sent me the information about the fundraising. There's a guy, from Memphis, and I'll close and move on to the police officer. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm finna do something really trifling right now. I thought my mouth getting dry. Okay. They got these various candidates, these well-coiffed, corporate-trained, corporate black men and women who are running for office. Yeah, they can speak the King's English and they wear the very nice corporate suits and ties, but they've rarely been in your favor. And a name other than Judge Joe Brown is coming up. It's interesting how Judge Joe Brown is world-renowned, but people in Memphis hate the brother. And all he talks about is he has a lot of solutions that would change Memphis into the city it should be. But it's still going on the foolishness. So this one guy, I think his name is Paul Young or something. Yeah, I know his name is Paul Young. And he's raised up now $347,000 plus in his campaign. He's announced, and I don't know who's backing him, but he has a lot of money. And I think a black dude who's sheriff in Shelby County, he's trying to run for mayor. But it's interesting, you in Shelby County, Floyd Bonner, how come you never want to run for Shelby County mayor? You're already out there. So you finna get an address in the city and try to run for mayor? Y'all pay attention in Black Memphis. And the world, pay attention to how Memphis politics work. Don't nobody want that smoke to white folks in the county, even though the majority of the county is black. They don't want to fool with the county. They all want to come get their bread and butter off the city instead of doing the work in the county that's needed. But the county don't take care of the county. I just found it to be odd. You're the Shelby County Sheriff, so I think the next thing you do is run for Shelby County Mayor. The Shelby County Mayor currently is I think he's a Black Greek, Lee Harris. Y'all, let me know if Lee Harris is Black Greek, but it definitely some other stuff appears to be going on with that cat. Because why would that matter? It matters a lot. Because Dr. Frances Cress Welsing taught us, shout out to the sister, the goddess, who you lay down with, who you marry, who you share a bed with is who you share your philosophy with. Shout out to all those who love these interracial marriages. But anywho, this guy, Paul Young, and I keep telling y'all about these Negroes that speak with we had a congressman who was very pale. He could pass as white. I think now, since he's working on Fox News, he's gone ahead with his white wife and clear children. I think he's now going ahead and just going to be a white man. His name is Harold Ford Jr. Harold Ford Jr., he really slid by doing nothing just because of how he looked. He came out of Michigan, went to law school in Michigan. And there was a man named of Jones, something Jones, that was up to be the 9th District Congressman years ago, but they slid him on in because his father and his uncle and all that. The Ford family political dynasty there in Memphis, and they all look white. Except for the later ones. They started getting a little tan in there. But the first ones, John, Harold, Sr., and all the rest of them. But yeah, he shucked and jived, and they just loved him. Loved him. He was yes, a nice congressional district congressman. Y'all be careful of those blacks. And so he made it through. He tried to run for a statewide office, U.S. Senate. And the white folks see Memphis is just Memphis, but Tennessee is another state. Even though it's in the same state, but Tennessee, East Tennessee, those are white folks out there. Chattanooga and beyond, white folks. Knoxville and Nashville and all, Whiteville and all those little towns, cities and towns towards east of Memphis. White folks, and they let them know, no, we don't want you nationally. Statewide, you stay there in Memphis. And that's where you are. And then East Tennessee, or Tennessee refers to Memphis as Little Africa or Memphrica. Did y'all know that? Those of you who are not from my hometown? Yeah, very racist. And so when he didn't win that, so he decided to leave. He went to New York or whatever and got involved in some consulting, whatever. He moved on. And so after him, we got a white Jewish congressman, been there forever, as if no other black person can defeat him, because the black people 35 years and older keep voting in this white dude. And nothing done in that 9th congressional district is 97% black. So it's as Ed Reed pointed out about Bethune-Cookman University, there's a broken mentality in Black Memphis, a very broken mentality. There's been a broken mentality since Plymouth Rock landed on us. Shout out to Malcolm X. Yeah, they call it Memphrica. That's right, Jamie. And so it's a lot going on. And so they got this guy. It's a lot of them, but the one name that keep popping up. Even a old childhood friend of mine out of Memphis, he emailed me, man, Rico, you should check this guy out. His name is Paul Young, blah, blah, blah. But little did he know that I'd already had a very brief conversation with Paul Young on WDIA one morning. That's the black radio station that used to have talk. I think it just have like a few conversations. But he was the host, and they're talking about economics in Memphis and all of that. He's over the downtown association that brings a lot of, build new businesses in downtown Memphis, which is cool. And the female host, I don't know if it was Stormy, I don't know who it was, but she asked him, he was explaining all the new projects, millions and millions of dollars of projects that's coming to downtown Memphis. She asked him very directly and clearly, how many black people are connected to these new project that's coming. How many black people will get some of these contracts? You want to hear his response? Y'all know what I just told y'all. Oh yes, there are quite a few people of color, women, minority groups, LGBT, marginalized groups. And immediately I picked up the phone. Boop, 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 because the call in. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. And so I called into the show. And I said, good morning, how y'all doing? Blah, blah. Welcome to the show, sir. And I said hello to the lady. I said, I just want to point this out. I heard everything you said. There was some wonderful things that are happening in downtown Memphis and what your participation is and blah, blah, blah. I said, sir, she asked you a very direct question about black people. And you told her people of color, minority women, minorities, women, disproportionalized and marginalized groups. Says she asked you very specifically about black people. And she kind of, I heard her fidgeting on her end, but he goes, well, I did say blacks. I said, no, you didn't. Well, black people, I said, you said it because I called you out on it. And that's what we have to start doing. These Negroes, Negresses, that come to y'all when y'all ask them something specifically about blacks and they start saying, black and brown, people of color, minority, women, LGBT. Do not vote for these mother lovers. They already telling you what the plan is. They're already telling you. If they can't answer a direct question that you have about black people and they're a black candidate that wants black votes, if they cannot answer the question saying with black people in mind, do not fool with them. They already told you. And people are celebrating all those black females. They're doing that little blue wave. They got elected to Congress. Ayana, Omari, all those chicks. Guess what their interest has always been? Guess what they talk about mostly? Black and brown, immigrants, LGBT. They don't ever mention in their congressional capacities as congresswomen, black people. When they're running for judge, if they run for whatever, you ask them something specifically about black people. If they don't say black people publicly and on record, don't fool with them. Y'all hear what I said? Okay? Now, and then watch out for these feminists. Women and women and women and women, and women and women and marginalized women and racist women. Get away from those hoes, too. They're terrible people. They, too, work on behalf of the white oppressor. They have no interest in black people. So do y'all get my point about this first hour? Okay, let me take a few minutes to address the black police officers who were members of Omega Psi Phi and where their mindset comes from. But first of all, let me say this and be responsible and share with you that Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated out of Atlanta, I guess the regional chapter, the head chapter, they officially put out a letter. If you haven't read it, it's online. I think I have a copy of it. Shout out to Mary Max for sending me a copy of it. And I read it. And they denounced the violence. They were not cool with it. They denounced the officers for their behavior. And also, they've revoked their membership. So I want to get that out there right now. They revoked their membership. But, and I think they were pressured to do that because it was so blatant. Because, there are pictures of the guy with the Omega Psi Phi bracelet on as they beat him. When they pressured or not, it was a good thing for them to do that. For PR, there was a good thing for those brothers to do that. But and so right now there is a debate going on within Divine Nine about they would say, well, we can't be blamed for what they did. We can't be blamed. The whole organizations cannot be blamed for what those three guys did. And they said, well, and they also said that, look, they were killers way before they were pledged into the fraternity. And the question becomes, if y'all believe this, those who are saying this and believe this, well, that means the brothers of Omega Psi Phi and the other three fraternities might need to do a little heavier vetting of men that they bring into their organizations based on that statement. If you believe that they were already killers, they were already these evil people before they got into the organization. So that means y'all might need to include in your initiation some pre-psychological examinations to find out their propensity for violence to the point of murdering black people. Because we know that no cop, black, Greek, or non-Greek, would dare hurt or maim or kill a white, Asian, Hispanic, or gay citizen. See, it goes into that mindset. Carter G. Woodson, who's a member of Omega Psi Phi, but not part of these. He wrote a book called Miseducation of the Negro that said once you control a man's think the way a man's think, his mind, the body will follow. Once you control the way a man thinks, you're able to control the way a man thinks, the rest just follows. A lot of our thinking is under someone else's control. And we've been taught that fellow blacks, particularly brothers in the hood or whatever, they're the enemy as opposed to the actual oppressor. It's okay to criticize behaviors of other blacks, but to go out to purposely sabotage, to slain, and same thing as kill, that's another thing. And we get really mad at black folks really quickly. Because I seen the Instagram lives and the TikTok lives. We let white folks just talk crazy and be all around us, fussing and cussing. We practice tolerance with them. But when it comes to our own, we want to try to kill them and take them out. You know, and black fraternities have often been referred to as gangs. Well, that was gang-like behavior that they did. All three of them, plus the other two dudes, they were all in concert with making sure they took this particular young man out. The internal reasoning behind that is still up for debate. We know a crime was committed, but we're still trying to find out why they went so far. As Ben Crump pointed out, where was the de-escalation? Why did they go so hard to make sure that this man was not breathing anymore? If you listen to the video, they sound like they didn't graduate from anybody's college or read anybody's book. Man, my leg was hurt like a mother. When I got out to him, though, my legs started hurting. Man, I gave that man everything I had. Man, I was rocking that man. That man took it all. Man, I'm tired of the motherfucker, man. Yeah, y'all hear them? They sound as if they didn't graduate from anybody's college or read anybody's books. So how they were able to pledge a historic and prestigious black fraternity, I have no idea. Somebody's slacking in the membership intake. Whoever the dean of membership or whoever that is, and Omega Psi Phi and others, he needs to be fired. Because how did these ignorant, broken English, stupid, violent, self-hating, black man-hating sons of bitches get into your organization in the first place? So not only do you revoke that membership, but there needs to be some internal changes within Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I'm saying y'all because y'all the one out here, they were members of your organization that murdered a fellow black man, even though the letter was very eloquently written and presented, but they didn't seem to exemplify what y'all said in the letter. And of course no organization is perfect. Of course not. Of course not. Every organization has its hiccups, fraternity or otherwise. But do its members murder people? And I like the way they came out and they admonished. You know, when I was a student at Grambling State University, I was a victim of violence from a member of Omega Psi Phi. I was attacked and I was robbed by a member of Omega Psi Phi when I was a student at Grambling State University. It's on record. I'm not telling you anything that's hearsay. It's on record. I reported it to the dean of students, who was a member of Omega Psi Phi. Shout out to I forget his name. He had an island accent. Leroy Durant. What's up, Leroy Durant? And also to the other brother. I loved him. He's a member of KSI, the old guy. Damn, I'll get his name in a minute. Armand, Mr. Curtis Armand, who's also in office as dean of students. I reported it, and also I think pressed charges with the Grambling police. And did I hold the entire fraternity accountable for what he did as an individual? No. But it was very interesting. Unlike what these fellas did, this organization, they did as an organization today, on January 31st, no member of Omega Psi Phi at that time came to me and apologized on behalf of them. Matter of fact, a lot of them thought it was funny. Yeah, this happened over 30 years ago. And I didn't hold them all accountable for what he did. When I wrote about it, I mentioned what he did, but I let it be known his connection to them. But nobody from Gamma Psi, Gamma, came to me and said, Rico, even though we're upset about what you wrote about us in your newsletter, we don't approve of what he did. Nobody. And so, and it didn't hit me until I read the letter where they were condemning these officers and revoking their membership. But none of them then, because it was campus wide. It was all over. I even wrote about it in my newsletter. I still have the newsletter when I wrote, and I detailed everything that happened, what happened that day. He said he was upset about something I wrote about him, and it was untrue. I never wrote anything about him. What he was doing was reacting to what a lot of them did that day about what I said about the bros. And so a lot of them did. They got upset. They had groupthink. They rarely had individual thought. And so, and I said, well, hell, hey, it is what it is. And but over the years, I've seen quite a few of those brothers, not these brothers over the years, and we've been cool. By the way, there's no animosity, none of that. I just want to point out that over the years, people grow up and mature and all that. But yeah, this is the truth. Nobody ever came to me to separate themselves from him. There was a members of Omega Psi Phi. Nobody ever did that. And so, and I don't hold the fraternity responsible for his behavior, because it is true. Some people go off and do their own thing. It's not representative of what's presented to them during the initiation process or the intake process. And so, but hearing them separate themselves, not only separate themselves from the murderous, violent behaviors of these 3 Qs. It took me back. I hadn't even thought about it until I read that letter. I said, well, damn. They never came to me and said, Rico, we don't approve of what he did. We don't appreciate that. That's not who we are. Because we had and understood back and forth banter. Me and the brothers of Gamma Psi, Gamma. Back there at Grambling. But it never, they poked fun. I walked past the Q Hill and one of my homeboys from Memphis, hey y'all, hey bro, there go Rico, he wrote that about us. Next thing you know, fuck you Rico, put that in your paper, bitch. Fuck you Rico, you ain't shit, blah, blah. That's all it went. Oh yeah, they let your boy have it. They ain't like about what I wrote about actual behavior, their behavior on campus. But it wasn't just them, the Alphas, they didn't do anything. But the Kappas, one Kappa act a fool with Kappa Alpha Psi. One. And I was at a Kappa party. Because I still went to Q parties. I'm not going to not go to the fraternity parties because I have a problem with the behaviors on campus. I wrote about it. Hopefully they corrected it. But you think I was going to go somewhere where tons of women weren't going to be? I was in college. Yeah, I was going to kick it. I didn't hate them. I just didn't like their behavior. But some people say, Rico, you hate the Qs. You hate. Never in my life. Because I don't judge a whole group by one person's behavior. Never done it. However, I went to the parties at this Kappa party, and I was there to do a little honey. Oh, get it in. Ow. Ow. Hey, love. And you may be young, but getting it in. Ow. And next thing you know, one of them who just could not contain himself at the party, we drinking, he gonna say, man, they shouldn't have let your bitch ass in here. I'm like, whoa, all right. And so that next morning, my publication came out. It's called In My Opinion by Rico. I wrote about it and talked about him. And I let him know he was a member of there, and I let him know where it happened and all of that. But it wasn't a condemnation of Kappa Alpha Psi. Yeah, so just to clear that up for anybody over the years who've ever wondered, do I have a thing against members of these Greek-led organizations? Well, I have a problem with the institution as it relates to how it has been so hypocritical in its approach and its existence within the black race. Yes, because historical record to show that. But if I'm cool with you, I know you're a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Q, or Zeta, Delta, and all the AKs. I don't have a problem with you as a person. I don't, never have. But and speaking of which, yeah, the Qs. I used to walk past Q Hill, walk on the sidewalk and all that. And they look, this is back in the day. But at homecomings, bros, we'd be hugged up and say what's up. We'd take a lot of pictures, let you know that stuff. That was kids, students. I don't hold any of that stuff. But the only thing is, when I read that letter, it took me back to, hey, they never separated themselves from my attacker and my robber. So, matter of fact, quite a few of them thought I deserved it. There were some people on campus outside of Mega Psi Phi that thought I deserved it. Now, all I did was put opinions on papers. I never robbed anybody, never kicked any dorm room doors, never raped or committed domestic violence on girls. All the things that I reported, talked about. I never did any of those things, but they thought because they were in the spotlight or being featured in a few of my publications that I deserved physical harm. And that's not black, but it's just the weird thinking. People should be hurt because of their opinions or their thoughts physically, economically, but not the people who are actually doing these things to our race. But I digress. And so, and also, don't let me leave out the Deltas. They didn't care for me either because I talked about the behavior of the Qs. Not because they were Qs, but they were behaviors. But the two go hand in hand a lot of times, right? And so I remember it was a Greek step show, and some of the alphas taught the AKs how to do it. And next the AKs won that particular step show. And I was walking past Delta Hill. They was up there with Q. They were singing, "Nobody be a aki kaki aki. Nobody don't want to be a Z5B." And I'm like, whoa! I didn't know they had a hater song. I guess they had their little songs. And I wrote in my paper, and I said, "Damn, this is what I heard. Y'all heard the Deltas going hard on the other sororities and and so I said, damn, because the AKs had won that night, and I said that won that recent step show. And I said, damn, I thought everybody wanted to be a winner. I didn't think they liked that. And so next thing I know, I'm walking a homecoming. I'm still a student walking past him to get to the village on Grambling campus. And man, you can literally hear a mouse piss on cotton. It was like 40 Qs and about 25 Deltas all on Q Hills. And I'm telling, and I remember, I'll never forget, I took a deep breath because I was walking past the student union. You have to walk past Q Hill in order to get to the village. And I was on the other side of the street. So I didn't play with fire, y'all. Don't act like I was Mr. Tough Ass. I didn't. No, I stayed on the other side of the street. And I walked, I adjusted my backpack. And I said, here it comes. And it was quiet. Then I heard the whispering. That's him. That's some girl. Yeah, that's that little nigga. That's him. I mean, fuck him. He ain't shit. And I looked over there. Yeah, fuck you, Rico. Write this in your paper. Bitch ass nigga, you ain't shit. Yeah, bitch ass nigga, write this in your paper. Fuck you. I mean, whew. I mean, I was cussed until I made it to the end of Charles B. Adams' statue. He had to be on Grambling's campus. Yeah, I said, God, dog. Oh, man, y'all don't know what hurt is until you've been cussed out by about 30 Deltas. And you knew 20 of them up there, you would have hit without a condom. But I was like, damn. Well, that's at least 40 phone numbers that I'll never get. So, of gorgeous women. So, it's all right. The AKs were always nice. And Zeta Phi Beta, they were awesome. Those were my goods. I had a couple of close friends in Zeta Phi Beta. Loved them. And Sigma Gamma Rho, at that time, It's all right, Jamie. It's cool. These are stories that I've always had. Jamie said, "I'm so sorry you had to experience that, Rico." Jamie, you're sweet as sugar, and I appreciate that. But that was just part of it. When you're one of those persons who speak up and speak out, as the African proverb says, a speaker of truth has few friends. And when you speak up, it will, and you point out things or in the pink. I call it the pink elephant in the black living room. Well, you step on toes. That's how it was. And so, but it was cool. It was cool. When I look back on it now. I'm 54 years old. I was like 25 or some shit when that was going on. I think I was heading to graduate school around that time. 24, 25, heading on to graduate school. But yeah, it was, cause I wrote my newsletter even in grad school. So the shit kept popping. But yeah, it was something. So that, but I just need the Divine Nine to, you can't pick and choose who you claim. Because if those three guys had been laureates, y'all would have claimed them. So you can't hardly pick and choose. Because I wish the Kappas had stood behind Colin Kaepernick instead of that white and Mexican judge that y'all thought Donald Trump was attacking. Then all y'all came out and wrote a whole letter, defending him. But I wish the national organization, the World Organization of Kappa Alpha Psi, would have stood by and with Colin Kaepernick when he was calling for justice for the murder of unarmed black men. Y'all didn't, But anyway, I'm glad that they wrote the letter, distancing themselves from that. Jamie said, I was included too, but I have apologized to you a million times. We were just young and dumb, and you were light years ahead of us with knowledge. But Jamie, to be fair, Jamie, I didn't know you at that time. I know you and I have had this discussion. By the way, Jamie and I have been friends for years now. And I just only thing I hate, Jamie, that I didn't know you then, because as gorgeous as you are now, still gorgeous. And I said, man, I might be mad at you because you deprived me of knowing you when you was mad at me at 19. I'm telling you, girl, had you just said hello to me then, and a lot of people thought and she said I always had this serious look on my face. Well, Jamie, I had the weight of the world on my shoulders then. But I said, but if you had come to me instead of rolling your eyes at me, girl, and just said, Rico, I want to ask you something. I'm telling you, we would have become fast friends. Because one thing I don't turn down is chocolate. I don't. So I might be mad at you about that. Yeah. So, whew. That's what I'm saying. God damn it, you deprived your boy. Right, rolling your eyes and shit. You should have said, you could have came up, because one thing, and there's young women who came up to me and said hello. Like, I got a question for you. What you said about my church, my pastor, my fraternity, my sorority, just fraternities that I love, or my pastor, my this, my religion, and a lot of them come up to me, and I'm like, especially they was fine. I didn't hear a word they said. All I would do was just checking them out. I didn't like this because you said this and blah, blah. I would give them a time of day. Like, because, I truly believe there's a thin line between love and hate. Because I know you hate me one minute, but let me get in your left ear, girl. You would have loved me the next minute, you hear me? And I say, damn, if those, even the cute women, they're like, y'all thought I was just this pent-up, angry little guy. Your succulence would have soothed a brother. Rico, you need a hug. And I was like, you know what? You might be right. But they didn't do that. A lot of them. But luckily, thank God for my little quiet chicks. The little quiet ones who stay out the way. The ones that they came out the cafeteria with a hair bun in their head, or they had on a Grambling sweatshirt and jogging pants. The guys didn't pay attention to them because the cute little deltas and the AKAs, Zetas would be to the other side of them if they little shorts on and Zeta t-shirts, and then you had the AKAs with their little pink and green on it and then the chicks from California with their booty shorts on, their little long hair. See, they were distracted by all the other cuteness, but my eyes zoomed in on the ones who were not trying to be noticed. They had on glasses, but their skin was smooth and pretty, Those ones I checked, and they were the quiet ones. Now, when everybody's paying attention to those outwardly, getting that attention and cute, I went over to the quiet goods, and let me tell y'all something. Shout out to my quiet goods out there. And I mean quiet goods on many levels. Because that's how you, boy, I'll just say in that regard, that's how I got fed. Because if I had messed around with an AKA, a Delta, a Zeta, or whatever at that time, all my business would be on the lips of everybody else. Because just young people talking. So I need to keep my business private. And shout out to the quiet goods. And like, fellas, if you're in college right now, if you got a son in college, tell them to check out the little chicks who ain't face beat, and they got on their face is not beat. They ain't trying to look all club looking during class time. They got their glasses on. They keep their books in their hands. Those the ones. Tell your sons right there. Less drama. Only about knowing, because they trying to be low key too. And let me tell you, I'll just leave it at that. So if anybody like to, and again, if anybody, those are my thoughts on both topics. If anybody like to come in and have a conversation or plug in, let me know. If not, I thank you so much for allowing me to just vent or get this conversation out here. And please share. I'm going to upload this video for those of them who are on my YouTube channel, so they can check this out. And hit your boy up that Cash App, $ Rico the Opinionist. If you have not bought the short story, it's only 50 pages. It's called The Greatest Pain Ever Felt. Conversation with an absent biological father who dared to be found. Check that out. It's only $10. $ Rico the Opinionist. And on my PayPal, Rico the Opinionist. I appreciate y'all, and I hope you enjoyed your lunch. And on this Rico's Lunch, Chat and Chew. And there's nothing else. I'll just go ahead and prepare for my client that's coming up at 2 o'clock. And try to save some lives. Maybe grab me a bite to eat too while I'm at it. Yeah, maybe a little quick something. Anyway, y'all be cool. I will talk to y'all later. Yeah, get at me, Jamie, if you available. Hit your boy up. Mary Max, we're going to talk to you. Everybody else, I thank y'all so much. Peace.